So I just finished all of the filming for my first YouTube video. This is the filming for my second YouTube video. I'm filming it while I'm editing, and that's fun. I had 45 minutes of raw material cut down to I think like 30, maybe a little bit less than that. Right now I'm just putting all of the captions on them because I don't trust YouTube captions. And I'm having to just take 30 minutes out of my life to go through it all and read it all, and that's a lot. That's like the majority of what is like time consuming on it. So I will know for next month that I should start editing like a week before I have to release it, but I'm not like on any schedule, so I'm not really that stressed about it. Editor's note on the first, I'm just now getting around to editing it, so that shows how well I remembered that. I just saw a video of Helena Bonham Carter reading a book, and they was just talking about how there are so many things that we do as people to create small kindnesses, to kind of emulate a sense of community that we've lost because we're so far separated and so detached from what the person called tribe and fire. You know, she's reading it and she's talking about how, you know, there are just these things, you know, someone helping you pick up stuff that you drop, someone letting you pass, you know, on the road, someone saying bless you, which is a leftover thing from the bubonic plague, being like, don't die, you know. And I'm listening to it, and obviously it's one of those hope core videos, which I am a big fan of because I do enjoy optimism. It's like, I get excited about how kind I'm going to be able to be in the future. And I don't know if that's a weird thing. I don't think I care. Because, like, my genes are a little fucked up. I've got a little bit of a atomic genetic cocktail, if you will. And so I've got some shit in myself that makes me, as like a default person, not a very kind person. Like, they're just like kind of like an accumulating factors that if left unchecked, I would be kind of a piece of shit. And when I was a teenager, I was a big piece of shit. Like, I wasn't like actively like doing anything wrong, but I was like kind of gaslighting myself into thinking that I wasn't doing some of the fucked up things that I was doing. And I just had this idea that I was like a good person if I didn't do X, Y, and Z. So it like kind of made up for the fact that I was doing things quietly without saying anything. And when I turned like 15 or 16, I'd like just gotten out of like a really bad relationship, like an online relationship, one of my very first ones, and it was just so bad. And I don't really remember a whole lot from it. I just remember like consciously being like, I think I want to be a completely different person. I don't think I ever want to be that person again. And so I like consciously did things that I thought a good person would do. And so I always said that I like try really hard to be a good person. I try really actively to be a good person because if I didn't, I would not be. And I think that was true for, you know, some years, probably well into my 20s. And now that I'm almost 25, I can say that I like legitimately am a good person. And I would say that I genuinely am a kind person, and I enjoy being kind. I enjoy being nice. I enjoy doing things for other people because it makes me feel good. Like, selfishly as it is, I enjoy being kind. I enjoy going out of my way to help people for no other return other than I just get to be like, help someone else. I helped someone else. It just brings me joy, and I like it, and I enjoy surrounding myself with other kind people. And I guess the whole point is I'm really excited to meet other kind people as I age, and I'm excited to become kinder as I age. And I'm really glad that the world didn't make me bitter like I thought it was going to. Like, the world is so bleak and scary and sad, and there are so many fucked up people and things going on that it would be totally normal and totally right to be pessimistic and cynical and nihilistic and just be like, everything fucking sucks. But it's so much nicer not doing that. I feel so much better not doing that. I feel more alive not being that way, choosing not to be that way, because I very easily could. My situation, like other people's, is enough to make you bitter. It is enough to make you angry. And I just don't want to be I just don't want to be angry. Anger has its place. All emotions have their place, you know, but I don't want to give myself that kind of ache, and I don't want to make myself feel that kind of, dare I say, useless turmoil. It's easier to choose to not be angry than it is to let myself be angry and feel justified in it, I guess, at this point. And not everybody is like that, and I understand that. But speaking for myself, it is nice to be in that place and to know that my life is just going to be wonderful, and I'm going to always be surrounded by wonderful people, because that's what happens when you are a good person who is kind and who does good things. You are surrounded by people who reflect that. There's a book that I love that I read when I was 22, maybe 23, called As a Man Thinketh. It's a self-help book from like 1902 or some shit, but it's like one of the reading materials that Alan Watts uses. I want to say he was like a young kid when this book came out, so like he probably would have grown up like knowing about it or reading about it the same way we know about like Chicken Soup for the Soul. And it's basically just talking about how the state of a man's mind is the state of the man's world, and how if you're not ready for certain things, you will not be able to have them because you're not ready for them. So like, say you're in a really tough spot financially, and you're like, I just need money. I need money. I'm manifesting money. I'm bringing money into me. I'm channeling the energy for money. I need money. That's the vibe I'm trying to put out. If you are not a responsible person with money, if money does not feel safe, comfortable, and stable with you, if you fuck off your money, if you don't have, you know, a budget or savings, if you don't have any like respect for the thing that you're trying to pull into your life, it won't give it to you, and the world will never give it to you, because good fruit can only bear good fruit. Bad fruit can only bear bad fruit. Those, based on the world that we live in and the physics that occupy the world that we live in, that is the only natural course for those things to do. Good trees can only bear good fruit, and bad trees can only bear bad fruit. That is the only way for it to conceptually make sense in our current state of reality. I guess reading that, because it's like a 45-page book, so it's like not long at all. I guess reading this whole thing for the first time really just kind of reminded me that I have full power over how I shape the way that my world goes. And like, as cliche and like kind of hoaxy as it sounds to say that, you know, you manifest your own reality, you create your own reality, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Obviously, you cannot, you know, visualize yourself out of poverty. You cannot visualize yourself out of abuse. You cannot visualize yourself out of systemic and systematic ways that are meant to oppress you. You cannot do that. And so they do not work to get out of those kinds of things. But in the small ways that we can take control of our lives, they do give us the ability to. And as someone who has major control issues, I find a lot of comfort in that. I brushed my teeth, I cleaned my bathroom last night, I'm about to do my laundry, take a shower, and start my movie list for this year. It's already the third month, so I've got a lot of movies to watch. I've got like 60 plus on this list, so it's gonna be a lot. Yeah, it's the... What day is it? It's the 4th, huh? It's the 3rd. It's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. It's the 3rd. Okay, yeah. For some reason I was just like, wait a minute. Just bad at... It's fine. Have a good day. Hope you have a wonderful rest of whatever, and I will see you the next time this clip cuts. Okay. I'm making this video to remind you what the fuck it looks like when you were really just trying to convince people to just do right by you. Look at what you're doing to convince someone to do right by you. Please acknowledge and remember how this feels, because what the fuck are you doing, girl? What the fuck are you doing, girl? You're saying that the bare minimum someone can do to release strain on your fucking relationship is make a fucking joke, and they can't? That is too much work. Fuck that, dude. What? Please. Please don't fucking do this to yourself anymore. Please. Have some fucking self-respect.
You should never have to beg anybody, no matter how long you've known them, to do something that you asked them to do. That's fucking crazy. Spoon feeding the answers to people doesn't fucking work. And even if it did, why do you have to fucking give them all the answers in order for them to treat you well? For them to treat you like a fucking equal, like how you deserve? What the fuck? For the love of God, you're losing all your friends right now. But what the fuck are you losing? People who make you feel like shit. People who make you feel like this. People who make you feel like you just are fucking taking crazy pills for asking for some common decency. That is insane. You don't deserve that shit, girl. You don't. You deserve to have people who fucking understand you, who don't fucking start fights with you, and who aren't looking to just fuck off and be stupid, and who aren't trying to grow with you. Damn. Fuck. Ugh. You need to accept that you're better than this. And you need to stop feeling bad for the fact that they're just people who are not on your fucking level, alright? Oh my God. We have been fucking through this shit. I have come too fucking far to let myself be in this place. I've logged too many fucking hours dedicated to rebuilding and fixing and strengthening my connection to myself for me to let any fucking person treat me this way. No one should be treating me this way. No one should think it is acceptable to treat me this way, and if they treat me this way, they lose access to me, period. I don't care how fucking long you've known me, and that goes for fucking anyone, and it needs to really start being a boundary that I enforce. Fuck. Shit's not gonna be like this for fucking ever.
The beautiful thing about being a hyper femme person, or just being someone who is very connected with their femininity, whether you are a non-binary person or you are a woman, is the fact that when you start to live authentically in that, and your life starts to like follow that same path of authenticity, and so it starts to just like seep into everything you do, and so everything that you do kind of has this like high femme, womanly feminine energy to it, it actually will open up the reflection and like the mutual ground for men who are usually rooted in a lot of masculinity to appreciate it. Because there are so many times where men will look at an overabundant or exaggerated expression of femininity and will usually be in awe of it, because one, they don't get to see that shit very often, and two, they still like it. Men still like femininity, and so because they are forced away from it, when they see these big, grandiose, expressions of it, they like it, and it makes them have a better appreciation for it. And so I think that's why women need to just start being more femme. If you're not feminine, don't try and be, but if you naturally are a femme person, you're someone who talks with their hands, you're someone who flicks your hair, you're someone who likes the color pink, you're someone who likes to decorate, you need to start living authentically in that, so you can give other people the avenue to start expressing it and start feeling it within themselves. Because obviously you don't have it's not your responsibility to do that. Don't feel like it's your responsibility to have to purposely put on this performance so other people can have the ability to empathize with it, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you live authentically, it gives people the glimmer of hope that maybe one day they can also live authentically. Someone on Instagram, they're a stand-up community, her name is Sarah Shower. She made a post one day on her Instagram story that basically just said,
I know I'm obnoxious about caring about your well-being, but it's literally just because I will be annoying about it, because I think it's worth it, because I am so invested in your happiness that I will be annoying to the point of exhaustion, because I don't care if you ever actually listen to me or not, if you ever actually use my advice or not, because at the end of the day, if me being this way or me saying these things can even open up the smallest glimmer for hope that you could also live that way, then it's worth it for me.
And that's kind of how I feel about being authentically feminine. Because as someone who is non-binary, I think I've always kind of struggled with my womanhood, because I don't really feel very connected to womanhood. I never have. I've never wanted to be a mom. I never was excited about my period. My experiences as a woman or as a girl were all very eclectic, I guess, and very niche.
I didn't resonate with women around me, and the women I did resonate with were queer or lesbians. And so as I grew up, I kind of had this rejection towards it. There's this song, I don't know who did it, Gabby Perez, maybe? But there's this, like, version of this song where they're like something to understand why do I want to be a man so I can finally pick the pants I want. And it's like, I struggled with being trans not struggled with being trans, but like, I struggled with my gender identity for so long when I was a teenager. And even when I was a kid, like, I remember running around in my underwear with no shirt on, being Mowgli from the Jungle Book. I remember, having, in one of my, like, old, like, youngest baby pictures, I have a shaved head and I'm wearing a brown sweater like a little boy. And I remember growing up and being like, I really like that picture, and I did not know why. And so then once you hit puberty and you start going through, like, the complications of, like, being perceived as a gender as opposed to being perceived as a kid, I got really into my head about not wanting to be a girl because I was just like, I just don't fucking fit in here. I was always very sassy. I was always very extravagant and, boisterous. I was always feminine, but I had a really hard time connecting with womanhood, and so it made me kind of, like, reject it really hard. And so I, like, tried to really connect with my masculinity and with my, like, manhood, and I realized that I didn't fucking fit in there either because it was confining and it limited the way that I felt like I could express myself, even though I know it didn't. But, like, there were ways that I wasn't allowed to be authentically myself because I was within the constraints of masculinity. And so once I, like, accepted my gender identity for what it was and, started playing around with it more often, my femininity started to come out and started to become, like, this, like, just natural aura about me. And it either does one of two things when I'm around, like, mixed company. It either will make people feel incredibly comfortable and safe around me flipping my hair, having my hand, like, calling people baby, calling people honey, being like, yes, girl. Like, those things will create this, like, sense of comfort and safety because I clearly am okay with being, dare I say, even unconventional. Or I met with the opposite, where they almost completely write me off, or at least, like, try to shut me down as someone who's capable of, like, conscious thought or, like, intelligent discussion, and they start to, like, fight back because my intelligence threatens them. Being comfortable being this way is one of your biggest protectors if it's who you naturally are. It will keep you within company that feels safe and feels trusted and feels respectful of you, and it will literally reject and keep away the people who do not respect and do not value that femininity, because unfortunately masculinity is confining. It is a confining space. It's supposed to. Some people really like tight clothes. Some people like weighted blankets because they like the feeling of being confined. They like the feeling of being weighed down. That's what masculinity is. It is a comfort for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people find their roots in it. It's why I, for a really long time, found a lot of safety in it, because I felt like I was just stuck still finally and I could just sit in it. Femininity is so much more fluid and out and free because that's the way that they balance each other. And so,
one day, man, we're all gonna be able to balance our masculine and feminine energies, man, and no one's gonna have to worry about being the man or being the woman. We're all just gonna be people, man.
Like, not to be, like, hippie about it, but the moment I got rid of my shame around being a feminine person, the moment I started to feel more authentically myself, and the more other people started to really respect that about me. And I hope that is the same for you as well.
Not everybody gets the luxury of having kids and starting to have kids when they're already, like, done, like when they're fully worked through their traumas, when they're fully in, like, a good financial place, like, they have a good partner, they have a good job, they have a good life. Being able to be in, like, the opportune position to have a child is, like, not a privilege that everybody gets. And I don't even believe that even people who do have, like, the perceived privilege and, like, seen, like they look like they are doing all the right things, I don't even think they most often have kids. I think oftentimes they choose not to have kids, but that's another conversation. I feel really lucky that my mom did it the way that you're supposed to when you have the reality of just having kids kind of when it happens to you, like, as a human being, because, like, obviously consent to sex is not consent to pregnancies. Shit happens sometimes when you get in a car, someone else is not driving well and they hit your car and then you have a wrecked car. Like, shit happens. That is a fundamental part of life. But my mom just, like, she figured her shit out, and she did the shit that she needed to do in order to raise me and my brother to be, like, decent human beings and to be decent people. And my sister really got, like, the brunt end of that, because obviously she didn't get to live with my mom. She didn't get to be raised by my mom, and so you can definitely, like, tell the differences between my brother and I and my sister, which it's like I've never even seen my sister as, like, a half sister. I've never even considered her half my sibling. She's just my sister. Like, we have different dads. I didn't live with her for most of my life. I just kind of see us as, like, we're not really close. Like, I see her, like, as if she was, like, a sister who was, like, already off at college when I was a kid, kind of. So, like, there's no lack of love there. But you can just tell that it really strained our relationship for the first little bit, that we were both, like, conscious humans. Because, like, when we were kids, it was easy for her to kind of, like, take out her frustrations on me and my brother, and we didn't really know any better. But then, like, once we became adults and I was like, hey, that's, like, weird that you do that, and she was just like, fuck you. And I was like, cool, you probably have a reason for thinking that, so I'm not gonna take that personally. I'm gonna love you from over here. And then we, like, eventually got over it, and now we're cool. But I was just thinking, like, how lucky I am that my mom just kind of, like, did the things that she should have in the order that she should have. Like, when she realized things were not going really well, she made, like, active choices to change things, and she has, like, a healthy level of detachment and attachment to us. Like, even before she was, like, doing all the work and stuff, she was never somebody who was, like, super up our asses and more like, you're never gonna leave, I never want you to leave, like, you always have to stay with me. But she also was never like, you're leaving as soon as you turn 18. She always made me feel like I was welcomed at home. She always made me feel like I was supposed to be at home. Like, my place was kind of with her, and she always encouraged me to do what made me happy. And so if staying home made me happy, that's what I should do. If leaving home made me happy, that's what I should do. She always wanted us to go if we wanted to go, but she never wanted us to leave. I'm sitting here in my bed in her home that I pay kind of my keep for. I'm 25 almost, and I was, like, starting to get into this whole, like, oh my god, I need to be moving out, blah, blah, blah. And then I was just like, I literally don't think I could shame myself into that kind of thinking if I tried, because I just don't have it in me. She didn't raise me like that, and I never learned otherwise through any other external forces, because I don't want to, and I never wanted to. I like being this way. I like the way that she raised me, and I feel like not a lot of people can say that about their moms. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't like the way their parents raised them, and they, like, are actively trying to, like, combat the ways that they were raised, and they're actively trying to, like, go against the ways that, like, they've been taught or conditioned to think. And I can imagine not enjoying my mind and not enjoying myself and not enjoying my past. Like, obviously there are things in my past that I don't enjoy. There are things that have happened to me that I'm, like, not thankful for. Not saying that. And I'm also not saying that people who have had bad things happen to them should be thankful for them, because that's not even kind of a case. Because people who have shitty lives and who have had the misfortune of having moms be disconnected from them or overtly connected to them or have really misconstrued ideas about what their relationship should be, I feel for that, because I have the opposite side of it. And so it's like, I can only sympathize for that, because I can only imagine that the opposite of this feeling is probably the fucking worst.
And then my autistic brain immediately jumps to, man, if I can literally just try, I can literally, like, you watched the way that I conceptualized that thought of trying to feel the opposite of the feeling I'm feeling, that's a positive feeling, and being like, wow, the opposite of this feeling must suck. That's all empathy is. And I'm tired of motherfuckers making it out like it's some, like, thing that you just have or you don't have, because that's literally all it is. It's this big feeling I have and taking it and making it opposite. You understand opposites, right? You understand the opposite of hot is cold, even if you've only ever fucking lived in Florida. It's never fucking cold in Florida, but you know what the fuck cold is, because you know what water is. You've had cold water. You know what I'm getting off topic.
I haven't even put my glasses on. Anyway, have a good day. Maybe it's the fact that I'm turning 25 this year. I'm not really sure, but I don't have pants on right now, and my pants aren't clean. So I was just like, all right, I'll put my robe on. No big deal. I have a shoestring to keep it together. And then I'm thinking, as I'm, like, blindly, like, my eyes aren't even paying attention, I'm tying this with pure muscle memory.
And I'm thinking, wow, we as humans literally found a way to take like a straight, flimsy little thing and make it do something for us. And not only did we do that, but then we started using it to accessorize. The bow tie is so intrinsically human because nothing else could have done this. I'm just like suddenly finding the act of tying a bow so beautiful. We as humans really will just live and exist, and it will mean something to somebody a million years later. And that is what makes me not be so scared of anything. Someone decided to do this however many fucking thousands of years ago, and now here I am being thankful for it. Do you think they know? Probably not. Do you think I'm gonna know? Probably fucking not. Who gives a fuck? I saw something about how it was like this funny little meme comic thing, and it was like, they put a rat in a jar, and the rat was swimming for 2 minutes, but then after the 2-minute mark, it just gave up and drowned. But if you take out the rat right before it becomes exhausted, it'll swim for hours. They were like talking like blah blah blah, and the other person was just like, we as humans conduct immoral and unethical experiments for our own morbid like curiosity or something like that. And it was just like, one, yes. Two, hold on. Really, it's just like, okay, so hope is a evolutionary manifestation of our want to self-preserve. The bow tie is a representation of self-preservation, of hope. And so is like the wheel, and so is fire, and so is like macrame and art. Like, again, I don't know if this is just, I don't know if I'm manic, I don't know if it's because it's getting warm outside, I don't know if it's because I'm about to turn 25, but right now, I feel so much thanks and so much gratitude for the things that I have and for the things that I'm going through and for the things that I get to experience, even as simple as getting to tie my rope together. That feels really nice. Literally, what bad can come from being thankful? For the right things, knowing what my worth is, knowing what the people around me's worth is, knowing what I deserve, knowing what the people around me deserve, and then feeling that way. And genuinely believing it. I don't know. It's real cool. We, as a collective society, I don't know where my glasses went, have reached a point where almost every single fucking thing we do has been commodified to be accessible and not to be honest. I think that is going to be the biggest downfall of young people, because like I was reading this thing and they were like, sorry, but if you don't put in the time to learn a skill, don't be surprised when you want to attempt something that requires a lot of skill. And they're like, if you have stuff just kind of rotting in your home because you don't take the initiative and learn how to develop these skills, you're not going to be able to do anything. People think that you don't have to put in time for nothing no more. The first time I thought this was with aesthetics, because I saw this girl who took spray hair color and did her blonde roots super dark and like grown out, and then gave herself like fake piercings and like all this other stuff. And she was just like, people in the comments were like, why don't you just grow your hair out? And she's like, because I don't like that look all the time. And I was just like, I understand so badly why people are picking and choosing the ways that they present themselves and the ways that they choose to move throughout the world. Like, I understand. You just wanted it for the day. But we as a society have become so used to just doing shit like that. Like, no one wants to just grow their fucking roots out to have the roots look anymore. They would rather just do it for a day because it's the daily look that they're trying to achieve. They're not trying to have an actual personal style or an actual aesthetic that emulates and symbolizes who they are, or that represents like a life that they live. They want to look a certain way, so they will have this like all the time look that they're like comfortable in, and then they will have these ways that they can dress that look up to be like the different versions of it. And it's just grow your fucking roots out, girlfriend. Go grow your fucking roots out and then dye your hair again. Like, I understand. Again, I understand. It's just, I hate it. And I'm allowed to hate it. I initially was just like, oh, people who don't have high skill levels aren't allowed to try things that require more skill. But then I was like, no, I'm being offended because I am one of those people. There are so many people
who want, myself included, who want to do things of a higher caliber, but that physically do not possess the skill to do so. And you can't pretend that it's anyone else's fault except for yours for not having that skill. Skills are things that you learn. They're things that you build on. They're things that you naturally learn to hone and execute. I don't know. I don't want to be someone who commodifies my appearance and my skills. Like, I don't want to just make art that looks cool because it looks cool to be taken a picture of. And I don't want to just have a look that looks so cool that I can take pictures of. Like, I would like to create a sense of self and a sense of art that is legitimate and authentic to me, that cannot be replicated regardless of who is attempting to. Skills are important. And you know what? If it takes you fucking 10 years to develop a look, if it takes you 10 years to develop a skill, that should be the normal. People should not be comfortable and not normalize the idea that you can cheat code or shortcut these kinds of things. When it comes to your appearance, when it comes to your art, when it comes to your skills, you can't shortcut that shit, period. Some things that you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that cannot get around without time. Time is the only thing that does it for you, and I think maybe that's something I needed to hear from myself, like hear myself say. Regardless though, yeah, I think that was it. I'm not saying that, again, I can't tell if anything is because I'm turning 25 or if I'm just like placebo affecting myself into thinking that. But tell me why the last like 6 months, I feel like, not even last 6 months, I would dare even say the last month and a half, 2 months, I have been able to hear the lyrics of songs almost crispy clear. When I was a kid, I guess I would say, when I was a younger person, I never listened to music for the lyrics because I almost couldn't understand it. I had a lot of auditory processing, I guess, issues with it. And so it was just like a bunch of like sounds. And so I was always just like, I always was getting lyrics wrong, which is why I think I always found like those like mispronounced lyrics or like wrong lyrics or inappropriate lyric videos and things very funny. I was just listening to the song Trouble by Never Shout Never. And there's a part in it where he says, I've been playing too much guitar, I've been listening to jazz. And when I was young, I knew he said something at when he said guitar, because he says guitar, obviously because he's a quirky little indie boy. Like, I knew he said that, but for some reason I never could hear guitar. I never heard him say it. And just now I was listening to it for the first time in years, probably, like consciously, like I was like, ooh, I want to listen to that song. And I heard it and I was like, oh my god, he does say that. It does sound like that. And I just don't know when that happened. It could just be the fact that I'm aware of everything right now. I feel like my head is tapped into everything. I feel like my inland fire right now is like, you know? Yeah. The unfortunate part about being kind of sick in the head is that it never really leaves you, and so sometimes you get caught up like 3 or 4 years, maybe even more, when you have stopped doing some sick in the head shit. For mine, trigger warning, self-harm, self-mutilation, if you need to go a little bit further. I haven't cut myself since I was probably 16, so going on 9 years. And I think about it kind of in passing, you know, every once in a while, but recently it's kind of just been like, it's just been kind of creeping up on me, and I don't really like it. It's not the greatest feeling in the world by any means. It is one of those things where it's like, no, I want to, but I don't. Like, I really wanna, but I don't. But like, why would I want to? But I just wanna, I don't know. Like, I can't explain it. It's very weird, especially because like, I feel so like level-headed and so sound of mind in every other aspect of my life, you know? Like, what does that mean? I saw someone say that once you start moving into a new phase of your life, like, old ways of being will like start fighting for their space in your mind, and they will start like fighting for their lives because like you're literally about to like send them on their way and like not have space for them anymore. And they're like, no, I would really like to keep my space in this life with you, in your mind and in your being. And part of me feels like that might be what it is. And I'm just like finally closing this very borderline kind of gruesome chapter of my life and moving on from it. Part of me is just like, are there like residual / familiar feelings that I have felt before that are being resurfaced, you know, or that are being triggered or something? I don't know. I haven't had a journal in a minute, and I think that might be kind of not helping with the inability to articulate my thoughts as well. I feel like I have a lot of stuff going on in my brain, and I would like to be able to get it out on paper, but right now I like have 3 different things that I'm like writing in, and I would like to have just like one thing that is like my journal. Manifesting a journal coming into my life that I love. I'm playing Doki Doki Literature Club. I have a big crayon. So Chapel Roan recently was on a podcast called Call Her Daddy or some shit like that, and she said that all the people that she knows that have kids are like unhappy and don't seem excited about life, and you know, are like living in hell. Everyone on the internet either was just like, yeah, she's right, or oh my god, I can't believe she'd say that. The women who were like, oh my god, I can't believe she said that, I'm so offended that she said that, are just like, being a mom is wonderful. Like, being a mom like has its struggles, has its ups and downs, but you know, at the end of the day, like, I love being a mom. It is so fulfilling for my life, blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't put my finger on why that kind of pushback rhetoric kind of annoyed me. And part of me was just like, oh, it's because, you know, we as women, we are kind of taught that wanting children is like the default, and so it kind of feels weird for women to be defending the default, because it's just like, why are you defending something that women have kind of been actively choosing to not have to do? For some reason they're just like, it's misogynistic and pandering into capitalism. Like, I don't want to assume anything about your life, but like, I think that's stupid, because this one woman that I saw a couple times now has said that we need to be really aware of the fact that there is a lot of like alt-right pipelinage, you know, how like, you know, alpha sigma dude content was like the right-wing pipeline for young men, and so we have to be really like careful about that with young women, and how like clean girl content, trad wife content, like all these things are kind of like pipelining into, like, suddenly you are against like certain kind of bodies and certain kinds of food, and then suddenly you're making America healthy again, because it's like suddenly her acknowledging a very real reality about women and about motherhood. Because I don't think I've ever seen a young woman say, a woman in Chapel Roan's age say, I really want to have a child, I'm really excited to have kids, without the mothers around them being like, well, prepare for this, motherhood is hell, this is crazy. Like, since I was a child, that has always been the response to motherhood, or since young women want to be mothers. And so when she says, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun, you know, they can't travel, they can't leave, you know, they don't get sleep, you know, there's no light in their eyes, like, when she says that, it hits a nerve. And so I think that is what triggers a lot of alt-right pipelinage, is anger, and is the feeling of being offended. Because if you say something that offends them, they immediately can take it personally, and they can think that you're talking straight about them. And so to hear a bunch of like liberal women say, like, I can't believe that she would say that, and not really have any nuance with the fact that this is a young woman who is dealing with mental health, who's also a lesbian, who has also lived an experience as a woman dating men, you think that she would be able to say that and it not be like super crazy, and people like have some nuance and have some media literacy, but apparently not. I guess it was just like the first time I was actually really realizing the way that, like, oh, that's how the alt-right pipeline starts. Like, a young boy sees a thing about how he's getting bullied, and he sees a guy being like, you say fuck that guy, and you know, beat him up, or you call him a faggot, you call him a pussy, whatever the case may be. And then suddenly he's screaming at his mom, telling her that she's a fucking cunt because he doesn't want to eat vegetables for dinner. And so it's like, it's the same way here. It's like,
women are seeing this video about a young lesbian saying motherhood looks like hell, which is not a new thing for women to be saying at all. And suddenly all these women are just like, you know what? I love being a mother. Being a mother is the one thing that gives my life purpose. Blah, blah, blah. And then like suddenly you think maybe in a year these people are going to be married to men with incredibly trad wifey looking lives. I don't know. And I think it's just very telling.
Today's my last video for March before I start editing them all together, and I just want to say, Jesus Christ. Some people, God, as I get older, I've been on this like journey of mine for about 10 years now, and like I'm an extremely sensitive person. I'm a Cancer stellium. Like I got cancer in my sun, my Venus, and my Mars. Like I am Cancer through and through. If you believe in that kind of stuff, you understand. If you don't, I don't give a fuck. Go cry about it or something. I'm scrolling, you know, as I do, and I come across this video of this woman. She's full sobbing over the fact that when you have a scab, your skin will like repair it, and when you pick it, it'll be like, oh no, we weren't done with that, we were trying to help. Or like it gets upset, it gets disappointed every month because you don't have a baby, because you're not having sex with a man and you don't have a baby for it. And she's like full, like in her hands, sobbing, like about to start like little kid like but it's just like I'm trying to dig through why I think that is incredibly, not even embarrassing, because like the word is much more specific than that. It's like, why do I feel like, I think it's like unnecessary almost. Like it's like, girl, I get it, everyone is rebelled by the human body, everyone is, you know, mesmerized by the things that it can do after a certain point. Why are you crying like that? Why are you sobbing so much over your body's literal intended purpose? Maybe it's my autism, but it's like, I hate when people are just like, we as a society moved on from this too much. It's like, well, first of all, we were never there. We never valued what the human body did for us. We were always just taking our body for granted. That's kind of how the whole like do your work and ignore your being sick thing does. And two, some people understand the value of their body almost inherently, and that has never changed. And that's why some people are almost like chemically different than you, because some people already had an understanding and an expression and like a value of their body. Okay, maybe am I getting offended by the fact that she said that? Am I annoyed by the fact that she's making something that I deem as like a regular revelation, like some like big dramatic thing? That's probably what it is, and I'm trying to figure out why that bothers me so bad, and like why I'm just like, dude, shut the fuck up. Probably because I am just like, dude, shut the fuck up. Because if anyone were, because I'm gonna be real, I love anybody that's close to me that's sensitive. If someone called me and was just like, oh my god, I can't believe my body like cares for me, I would hold space for that, obviously, because like clearly not everyone has that like body-mind connection to be able to understand their body is doing that for them. But at the same time, I would just be like, I am not in the same place as you, so I'm a little annoyed by your expression. And I think that might be an autistic thing. I'm not really sure. But then I get hit with the, you know, you don't have to change everything. It's like, I'm not asking to change everything. I'm asking to understand the situation so I can function through it better. And I know that for damn sure is autism. I guess my whole thing is like, why did you share this revelation with the internet? Because everyone in the comments is like, I feel you, girl. I get you, girl. But like, everyone's kind of laughing at her. And I don't really know if that might be part of like why I don't like, because it's like everyone's like clearly laughing at her and the way that she feels, and maybe she doesn't care. It's like I'm running through all these things. It's like, why the fuck do I care? Like, why do I care? Like, I wanted to like make a whole video about it. I wanted to comment, and like it was like, well, I was like, what the fuck do I give a fuck? If this girl's crying over the fact that she figured out that her body loves her, and maybe I'm just a fucking hater. Maybe that's just what a little bit of internal self-reflection is. Be like, oh, maybe I should just stop doing that shit because that's fucking hater shit. Maybe I should stop being a fucking hater. Lesson of the day.